Hey guys, this is a training session video for Ableton Live. I'm just going to start with the most basics of how we run Ableton Live at Grace Hill Church. Um, One of the first things that you need to know, there's another video of how to run Ableton, how to deal with some common hiccups. Here is the foundation for Ableton Live and the way that we use it. One of the first things you need to know is that we store all of our audio files under this folder called multi-tracks. So whenever you purchase a multi-track, whenever you create one, whenever you edit one, you're going to store it here. I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to show you. Location does matter. Usually I have it sitting like this. It says Welcome the Healer, the new one. You see it kind of brought down. This is the most recent song that we've edited. You'll see under this folder, everything's stored in folders. And once you place something in a folder, it's really important to keep that audio located in the same place. And I'll get to that reason in a while. Everything has its own file. So if you look at a song like How Great Is Your Love, we're going to have multiple things. So we have a How Great Is Your Love, E flat, that's the female key. We have one in B flat and B. The reason this is that we have a couple different keys. Normally for some of the newer songs, you're not going to see one in the key of B and B flat because I've just taken, I just transposed them inside Ableton and use them. Use both files depending on what key we're singing in them. But with some of these older ones, I just downloaded both files. They just end up taking up a lot of space. And so I just typically, if I'm buying it off multi-tracks, I just choose to use one key and then transpose it Sunday to Sunday. So this will all make sense in a few minutes, but these are all of the songs that we use on Sunday mornings that we use tracks to. So important that if you are creating some new content, you need to, right click or come up to this little gear icon, say new folder, and then say, new song. And then you're going to have that. You can have a little drop down. And what I like to do is I like to then create a new folder within that folder. And then I like to store, and I'll change this to new song edit 1 or whatever. So I'm just going to delete it. We don't need that. This helps us keep just things really, really clean and organized. So the first step in running Ableton Live on a Sunday is you need to come down to Launchpad. You can hit Ableton or you can hit Live, whatever you want to do. Ableton Live is going to load up. It's going to give you this thing pretty much every single time. If you've unconnected, it's not a big deal. If you've disconnected from the audio interface, it's going to tell you that basically that's what's happened, is that you are missing your audio output. So hit OK, not a big deal. It's going to load up a very generic Ableton Live session. It's a brand new session. We're not super concerned about that. I never use this. I've created a template that works very, very well. So you can go to Open Recent Sets. This one is from probably June of 2017. You can even see it down there. You don't want to open that one. You want to hit Master Set, click Enter. It's going to load up. And at this point, I like to hit this little bar down here so you can see everything. You don't need this. This is kind of a... if you were to go to the pad, you're going to get a lot of different functions. This is where you start making a lot of mistakes in Ableton, is clicking on this, on all of these kind of things. So kind of just stay away from that unless you need to. I don't really mess with it. There's one feature which we've gone into in another video that I mess with in this. And then also this is kind of like the master volume of that particular track. So we're going to click down here. I like to then go ahead, have nothing else on my screen but Ableton. Okay. So for the most part, you're going to see in this is from this previous Sunday, January 20th, 2019. This was the songs that we used. And what I like to do so that there is no issue, you will get yourself in some trouble. I actually almost got myself in some trouble. I'm going to hit Command-C, and I'm just going to drop Welcome the Healer. It's a new song. Hitting Command-V. I'm going to put it down, and this is our... some people say it's a bad idea. I've seen it go both ways. This is our master set list. This keeps you from really, I've tried to make Ableton as simple and as user-friendly as possible. I don't want you to spend a bunch of time worrying about having to create tracks, having to insert audio files. I want you to be able to, on a Sunday morning, if you've forgotten about it, you come in here, you hit Command-C, Command-V, Command-C, Command-V, and your set list is built. Assign the MIDI triggers via that, and you're good to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, at this point, we're going to clear it out. All you have to do is highlight it, hit delete, delete, delete. Every one of those songs is in our master set list. And so, depending on what you're doing, like let's say I'm going to program this coming Sunday, the 26th or the 27th. We're doing Great Things, Whole Heart, and Jesus Paid It All. So Great Things we do in G. So I purchased the tracks in G. For some reason, they're all zeroed out. Not entirely sure why that is, but it's a good teaching point. So if you have something like God of the Promise, I know for a fact we don't use this particular audio track for a couple different reasons. If a track is grayed out, all you have to do is click on the track, hit 0. Well, let's make sure. Actually, I know what's going on. Okay, so this is a great learning example. Great Things, the track, the location of the track, so let's minimize this. If you change the location of a track, so if you start messing with this, and you take Born as the King and slide it somewhere else, anywhere, if you move it from where it is, Ableton cannot find where it is, and therefore it cannot play the audio. All right. It's trying to play audio, however, these tracks are not where they used to be. So nothing's going to play. So what I have to do is delete all of these. So we're just going to use Great Things as an example of how to build a track. All right. So you've got a couple of different things. We don't use a drone. We never use drones for songs that have tracks because there's too much busyness and you'll end up, it just gets really, really muddy really, really fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this little bar right here. This bar, Ableton is kind of, all it is a platform that draws a bunch of different music and bunch of sound clips from other locations and plays them through Ableton. So it's kind of like a fancy iTunes machine. So what you do is you're basically telling Ableton, this is where you will find the location of these tracks that I am choosing to use and play them. So I'm going to hit Great Things, multi-tracks in A, and Great Things, multi-tracks. All right. So at this point, I'm going to take the guide. Guides go in click bus. So I'm going to minimize all the buses. These are buses, by the way. Not that they really matter. We only really use click, loop, and keys most times. We do use BGV on this one because there's a cool effect that's in the tracks. So you're going to take the guide track, slide it over to the guide track, and it's going to load up. So now when I click this,
1, 2,
you see that we get a guide track. All right, so now we're going to go to keys. Keys are very important. We're going to drop keys 1, keys 2, keys 3, keys 4. And I'm going to put the sub-synth bass under synth bass. Keys are good to go. BGVs. Boom. Vox chop. And then, of course, we have a loop. There were 2 loops on this song. We're going to hit
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Intro.
All right, so this song is doing what we want it to. I will in either the end of this video or something another time I'll show you. There's one little minor detail. This song is in A. However, we don't play it in A a lot. We do it in G most times. We've done it in A a couple times. So I'll show you how to use the warp feature. You will need to know how to do that moving forward. It is the single most easy way to mess up everything that's in Ableton. So use it with discretion. All right, so here we go. So we're going to build our set list. Let's say that you don't add any new songs to your set list, to your lineup over the next couple months. This is basically to get you through, get really familiar with Ableton, know how to run it. This is what I've said, it's idiot proof at this point. You're going to take these songs. Never do this. Do not drag them up, okay? The reason is you will end up deleting them, and you will then have to recreate them. So with Great Things, I'm going to hit Command-C, and then I'm going to go up to the very top. I'm going to hit Command-V. The next song we're doing is Whole Heart. It's down here. Do the same thing. Command-C, Command-V. And then we're doing Jesus Paid It All. Jesus Paid It All does not have a track. And so it's going to bring us to a very important part of this next section. If you do not have a track, you are going to be using a drone on all those songs. Cindy will be singing this in C. And so what I need to do is the exact same way I've done these tracks over here, dropping them in. I need to grab a pad in the key of G. I'm going to take the pad, and I'm going to drop it right there. And now I hit it.
2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
You hear the pad. It takes a few seconds to decay. I've made it where it can crossfade, it can linger, it can give you a little bit of substance. It doesn't immediately drop whenever the track drops. Okay, so that is how you create a set list. Super, super easy. On my next video, I will show you how to create a track from scratch. If you're using tracks that don't have audio like Great Things does and Whole Heart does. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope this was helpful.